Welcome to Day 2, Lesson 2, The Exit. In the last lesson you learned about the muscles of your uterus and how they create a safe and protective home for your baby, and how they're perfectly designed for birth. In this audio, I guide you to envision your cervix, the door to your baby's home. Your cervix stays closed throughout pregnancy and opens when your baby is ready to be born. You will tune into the wisdom of your cervix and find your own image to work with during pregnancy and birth. So let's start by getting a mental image of what your cervix looks like. In the lesson about your uterus, I encouraged you to imagine it as a red balloon resting in the bowl of your pelvis. Picture that now. Your cervix would be the neck of the balloon. In fact, its name, cervix, comes from the Latin word meaning neck, due to its role as the narrow connection between the larger body of the uterus above and the vagina below. The cervix makes up the lower 1/3 of your uterus, and its tissues are continuous with the tissues that make up the rest of your womb. The smooth involuntary muscle that you learned about in Lesson 1, the myometrium, is what allows the cervix to expand and dilate to 10 centimeters, which is the average diameter of your baby's head, to allow your baby to pass through and then to contract back to its original size after birth. But its principal role during pregnancy is to stay closed. It does this by positioning itself slightly towards your tailbone. So imagine the neck of your uterus slightly angled back towards your tailbone now, knowing that this is nature's way of preventing any undue pressure on it during pregnancy, because it is the pressure of your baby's head pressing down on your cervix, which is one of the factors that cause it to dilate. So nature positions the cervix this way during pregnancy to prevent premature labor until your baby is ready to be born. Now, this is important to remember, because if you do have an internal examination at any time in the last weeks of your pregnancy, you may be told that your cervix is very posterior and closed. Of course, this is how it is meant to be, but being told this by your care provider could make you worry unnecessarily. It's also important to note that having internal examinations in the last weeks of pregnancy is not supported by evidence and should only be performed for specific medical indications. It's one of those invasive procedures that require your informed consent, and you should be given the opportunity to discuss the benefits, the risks, and the alternatives. But for now, let's get back to the protective nature of your cervix and how it acts as the gatekeeper by controlling when substances and objects can pass into and out of your uterus. The cervical cells produce mucus, and the consistency of this mucus changes constantly. Before pregnancy, each month, around the time that you ovulate, this mucus becomes thinner, allowing the passage of sperm into the uterus for fertilization. Then, as soon as the conception took place, the mucus changed consistency again, thickening up and forming a natural barrier to infection at the mouth of the cervix. You may have heard of this mucus plug being referred to as the show. It contains antibodies which help your immune system to counteract pathogens. It's another one of nature's safety nets protecting you and your baby during pregnancy. You will notice that you have a lot more discharge than normal during pregnancy. Most of the time, it's just watery and a bit sticky. This is largely due to the mucus plug, which naturally comes away, but is also constantly replenished. Around 36 weeks or so of your pregnancy, your cervix starts changing in preparation for labor. In order for it to be able to open to 10 centimeters, it needs to soften. This is called ripening, literally like the ripening of fruit. When fruit is ripe, it falls from the tree. If you've ever waited for apples to ripen on the tree, you know that it takes a while. They may look ready, but they're still hard to the touch. They haven't developed the rosy glow, and they're still firmly attached at the stem. Of course, this is just a metaphor for ripening and in no way similar to what happens in your body, but the principle is the same. Your cervix doesn't ripen overnight, and it needs time to soften and move into the correct position for birth. And just like apples need the sun, water, and nutrients from the ground, your cervix needs increasing downward pressure from above and the hormones oxytocin and prostaglandin to start that softening, ripening process. You may be wondering, how will you know when this is happening, considering that you can't see your cervix and you don't know what's going on down there? There will be some subtle but very clear signs that will reassure you that everything is lining up as it should. You will notice that your mucus plug starts coming away and you have more discharge. You may experience sharp shooting pains in your cervix, sometimes called lightning crotch, which is an unfortunate name, but it does describe the feeling, as it literally lasts a nanosecond and then goes away. Increasing pressure and heaviness over your pelvic region is another reassuring sign that your baby is engaging in your pelvis, and it may be accompanied by dull backache, more frequent Braxton Hicks. You may even notice that your bowel movements become more frequent, softer in consistency, and this is in response to the increased amounts of prostaglandin, the hormone that softens and ripens your cervix. All of these would be really reassuring signs that your body is getting ready for birth. All your systems are coming together, and everything is lining up as it should. Allow yourself to get comfortable with these changes and to increase your awareness to notice them. Consciously take time out daily to check in with your body and notice how you're feeling. What's different today? What's the same? And what happens when you direct your breath to areas of discomfort, consciously releasing tension with the out-breath? In fact, let's do a quick body scan now. I'm pretty certain that there's somewhere in your body that feels just a little bit tense, a little bit achy. Might be your lower back or your shoulders or your neck. It might just be that heartburn and indigestion. But whatever it is, wherever it is, place all your attention on it now, breathing softness and light into it, just for a moment. Surround the tension with ease and relaxation, letting it go as you breathe out. A few more breaths. And then let's get back to your cervix. Because when your cervix is ripe, it naturally starts angling itself into a more central position. If it were an arrow, imagine it pointing downwards, just behind your pubic bone, towards your vagina. And around the same time as this starts happening, your baby starts wriggling around and positioning their head directly over your cervix. This is what causes the increasing pressure and the need to pee more frequently. So these would be more reassuring signs that everything is happening as it should. And right now, as you're listening to me, place your flat hand over the crown of your head. Now drop your chin to your chest and feel the gentle pressure of your hand on your crown, and imagine that this is what your baby feels. It's your baby's crown that rests directly over the cervix, and this is the perfect position for your baby's head to be when they enter the pelvis. Chin tucked and the crown of their head pushing down over your cervix. And when your labor begins and you start to feel the rhythmic waves of energy moving through your uterus, you can imagine your baby's crown pressing down and gently opening your cervix, the door to birth. In a moment, we're going to do a short meditation where I will guide you to find your own image to use, to imagine your cervix opening when the time is right. This is very powerful imagery, so you will only activate it when you are in labor, but it's important to anchor the image in your mind now, knowing how you will use it when you're ready to give birth. Ready? Settle yourself and let your breath just find its gentle, natural pace. Breathing nice and soft, nice and slow. And as you breathe in this way, you'll start to find, perhaps even without trying, that your out-breath becomes longer and slower, longer and slower. Just breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Long and slow, soft and gentle. Your jaw and your shoulders relaxed. And you just breathe in this pleasant way. And allow your thoughts to drift down to your cervix. And as you've been listening to this audio, you've already created an image in your mind of what your cervix looks like. And you can use this image, or you can choose to replace it with an image and a color that you will use when you are in labor. Because you know that when you are in labor, when your baby is ready to be born, it is the job of your cervix to soften and open. And your body knows exactly how to do this. And your baby knows exactly how to assist. And all you need to do is release any resistance to the powerful waves of energy that move through your body when your baby is ready to be born. And right now, you are preparing your mind and your body for this day. You are creating strong mental images that you will use on the day you feel those surges, those waves moving through your body. So allow your cervix to show you an image of how it might like to open. It may be like the petals of a rose slowly opening. It may be like butter softly melting, or the petals of a lotus flower, or the flame of a candle slowly creating a well of warm wax, swirling colors. Just allow your cervix to show you an image of how it might like to open. And when you have that image in your mind, gently rub your thumb and your fingertips together, effectively anchoring that image of your cervix in your mind. Know that you can revisit this image whenever you choose, that this is your cervix. And right now it is perfectly closed, keeping your baby safely inside. But when you start to feel the signs that labor is imminent, when you start feeling the physical changes in your body, when your baby starts signaling that they're ready to meet you, when you feel ready, you will easily be able to bring this image forth and actively imagine each surge, each wave, softening and opening your cervix. And your breathing will change, and every in-breath will draw it up, and every out-breath will release and open. And you will breathe through each wave, knowing that your body is doing exactly what it knows to do. Your baby doing exactly what they know to do. Quietly affirming that your body knows exactly how and when to give birth, and your baby knows exactly how and when to be born. Hold the image of your cervix in your mind, feeling deeply connected to the wisdom of your body and your baby. In the next lesson, you will learn how your placenta nurtures and protects your baby in pregnancy.